Gravitas, co-presented by Skoda. Kushaq, choose what really matters.
And the situation in Afghanistan is forcing its neighbors and regional alliances to re-evaluate their strategy. In light of these events, here's a question. What does the future hold for the Quad? We may finally get some answers next week. On the 24th of September, the first ever in-person summit of the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue will be held in Washington, D.C. Attending it will be leaders of all 4 member nations. US President Joe Biden, Japan's outgoing Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga, Australia's Prime Minister Scott Morrison and India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. They will all meet in Washington, D.C. They last met at a virtual summit in March this year. This is the first in-person meeting. At the White House, the Biden administration says it shows their priority, their focus on the Indo-Pacific. Well, sure it does. The agenda is on expected lines: COVID, China, climate change, cyberspace, a free and open Indo-Pacific, the usual stuff. But each country comes with its own specific priorities. For Japan, for instance, the timing is critical. Prime Minister Suga is stepping down, and he's the second Prime Minister of Japan to resign in 12 months. Now, like any country, Japan wants to be seen as a stable democracy. But frequent leadership changes do not help, especially when China is breathing down their neck. The provocations are growing. On Sunday, for instance, a suspected Chinese submarine was spotted near Japan's territorial waters. It came with a Chinese destroyer. Tokyo sees this as an escalation. Japan has issued a warning about possible attacks in Southeast Asian countries. What kind of attacks? Suicide bombings. By whom? We don't know that yet. All we have is a warning from Japan's foreign ministry urging citizens to stay away from religious facilities and public places. And this applies to 6 Southeast Asian nations: Indonesia, the Philippines, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, and Myanmar. All of these countries have received the warning. But they say they have no knowledge of such a threat, and Japan won't enunciate. By all means, this issue will be raised at the Quad Summit. What will Australia bring to the table? Well, they recently attended the Malabar naval exercise. Last week, Foreign Minister Marise Payne and Defence Minister Peter Dutton were in India. They met their counterparts in Delhi. It's called a 2+2 dialogue, 2 ministers from each side. So 2+2. Here's what they said.
Significant issues to discuss. The uncertainty in the Indo-Pacific remains of concern to both of our countries and to our peoples. Strengthening our defence relationship remains an absolute priority from my perspective.
We do share very strong interests in ensuring that Afghanistan never again becomes a safe haven for the breeding or the training of terrorists. And that is an abiding concern of the international community.
India and Australia have common concerns. Both are dealing with an aggressive, expansionist China. They also have a similar view of the Taliban. Unlike the West, remember, Australia is clear about not recognizing the Taliban government. They've also clearly called out Pakistan and its role in Kabul, which basically means that India and Australia can close ranks in Washington, D.C.
Quad is a platform where 4 countries have come to cooperate for their benefit and for the benefit of the world. I think a term like NATO is very much a Cold War term, looking back. I think Quad looks in the future. It reflects globalization. It reflects the compulsions of countries to work together.
That's an interesting choice of words. Compulsions of countries to work together. Which brings us to the hosts. The United States of America, what's their agenda? The American press has some thoughts on this. It says Biden will try to seek commitments on vaccine diplomacy and infrastructure to counter China's Belt and Road Initiative. But America's priority will be Taiwan. Taiwan is a US ally. It's under threat from China. It's bracing for an invasion, no less. Chinese jets have been buzzing over Taiwan. Chinese media is firing warnings, talking about severe military consequences. There are fears of a simulated biochemical attack. What explains China's desperation? Taiwan's growing proximity with the Quad. In the month of August, the Quad listed its priorities. The list had an addition: stability in Taiwan Strait. That's what they said. The message for China is clear. The alliance backs Taiwan. The US is taking it a step further, in fact, renaming Taiwan's de facto embassy in Washington, D.C. Right now, it's called the Office of the Representative of Taipei. The new name will be Taiwan. China does not like the sound of it, so it has issued a warning. It fell on deaf ears, though. The US Secretary of State Blinken once again called Taiwan a country. The Americans clearly are pushing the envelope. Reports suggest that they may even call for Taiwan's inclusion or increased role in the Quad. Well, here's what we have to say. An angry China breathing fire, scrambling jets, lining up border troops. As countries in the region brace for a Chinese attack, the Quad alliance will have its most significant meeting ever to chart a response. And we'll keep you posted. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.
Gravitas, co-presented by Skoda. Kushaq, choose what really matters.